Yes, hello. Let's redo my old pseudoarchaeology checklist video. First part, designing the opening theme to your show. Step 1, establish hints of spiritism with successive cuts closing in on an image such as tarot cards, the Eye of Horus, or the eyeball pyramid on the back of the US dollar. Step 2, pan across an ancient ruin or temple site to suggest the viewer is traveling the world. Step 3, World War II airplane. Step 4, quick cuts between illustrations of mythical creatures from the Middle Ages. Step 5, slow motion ritual reenactment. Step 6, sped up sunrise or sunset for symbolism of civilization. Step 7, atomic bomb explosion. Step 8, actors in sandals pretending to be Sumerians but unfurling a scroll rather than reading a clay tablet. Step 9, black and white clips of the Third Reich, Great Depression, or the speeches of FDR, JFK, or MLK. Step 10, someone on a camel in a different sunset. Step 11, zodiac signs that flash with magic sound effects. Step 12, scientist with vial of science fluid or clipboard. Step 13, a national monument with a sienna filter suggesting the collapse of Western society. Step 14, time-lapse footage of the growth and decay of plants. Step 15, Stonehenge. Step 16, slow motion fire. Step 17, the final hum of instruments on your logo and episode title. All right, let's get into the checklist. Yes, this is a PowerPoint. Yes, I am choosing this because I found a cute little book-themed one. I really can't help you if you're mad about that, but literature-themed template, you know? What are you gonna do? Okay, typically I don't read PowerPoints out when I'm making a presentation, but I know that I like to listen to YouTube videos rather than watch them, so I'm going to be reading every word on every slide. Sorry. Number 1, the aesthetic. So the opening theme tropes we've already covered at the beginning of this episode. Furthermore, the host's set often looks like an antiquarian's study, so lots of, fake artifacts around. And the exhibitions, like the evidence shown, are always worn, even if pristine versions are available. Next, the contributors. Everyone is interviewed in isolation. This means a hobbyist, a PhD, other enthusiasts. Everyone, from hobbyists to PhDs, are also treated as if they have equal levels of expertise. The audience then is led to decide the truth, not the contributors. If a PhD is featured, often their words are taken out of context to seem as if they support the pseudo-archaeological theory. Next, the host. Typically, the host has no formal credentials in history or archaeology. They often travel to a site relevant to the featured theory. They have a book or a product that they're plugging for sale soon. They consider themselves a renegade of quote-unquote big archaeology. Finally, the program often has a corporate sponsor. That's even if they're not a cable TV show. So I have a few examples here. The first is Ancient Aliens. Giorgio A. Tsoukalos has a bachelor's degree in communications from Ithaca College in 1998. He also hawks a lot of hair gel and talks and books and things like that. He's obviously sponsored by the History Channel. Ancient Apocalypse, the host is Graham Hancock with a bachelor's in sociology, but formally it's called social sciences, I think, on his degree from Durham University in 1973. Often has books and talks available, and obviously he is sponsored by Netflix. Finally, I've chosen a YouTuber for contrast. We have Bright Insight, hosted by Jimmy Corsetti. He has an MBA and a bachelor's of communication and sociology. He has a minor in religious studies, which is the closest thing of all three of the people featured. I didn't know that when I set out on this. From what I remember, I don't believe I've ever seen one of his videos sponsored, nor have I seen him sell anything. I know that he promoted some sort of conference once, but I can't remember the name of it, nor can I find it, nor do I care enough to look much harder. After that, we have the evidence. So the host almost inevitably makes some sort of unfounded claim or claims about the evidence. So they'll say, these measurements are so precise, but then they never measure or explain, if they do measure, what the tool measures or how it measures that, or why that would be a relevant measurement to the claims of precision. Next, they'll say that a site or an artifact dates much older than expected. They never explain how the dating was established, nor do they translate any texts or inscriptions found. If they do any sort of dating, like before, they will not explain how it works, why it's relevant, or they'll use it improperly and use the oldest or farthest back dating that is possible, often, as I mentioned, from an incorrect or incorrectly measured sample. Finally, and the most annoying one in my opinion, is always they'll say, who could have built this? Because obviously the people who lived there couldn't. And they often say this like when they're in the shadow of the likeness of the person who commissioned it to be built, right? Fun stuff all the time. Next, I want to talk about the funding. Anytime you watch something, someone is getting paid for your viewership. The more money that program gains, the more the money follows the viewership, creating and revealing bias, especially over a number of years. Finally, in the conclusions of the episode, you'll see that no single truth is endorsed usually. They leave it up to the viewer to decide what is historical truth with their new arsenal of 20 minutes of pseudo-knowledge. This particular practice I find especially nefarious because it entirely negates the efforts required to become an expert in such a topic. And so they're essentially telling the viewer that there's no reason to be educated or to seek further information on this. You already are well equipped to decide historical truth, when really this is a profession that takes many years of skill and practice to even perform adequately. This is probably part of the reason that you'll often find that academics almost turn their noses up at content like this. Rightfully so, I think, but that's just my opinion. Furthermore, there exists a reliance on aspects of spiritism throughout the episode. It is much easier to quote-unquote believe something is right than in proving it is, so academic sources are either mocked or ignored. So I'm curious, why do you think pseudoarchaeology and other post-truth concepts are on the rise? I leave you with a quote from Carl Sagan's The Demon-Haunted World, Chapter 2. When, clutching our crystals and nervously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties in decline, unable to distinguish between what feels good and what's true, we slide, almost without noticing, back into superstition and darkness. My friend Jonas sent me a picture of that quote from his book. You'll see a photo of his fancy bookshelf at the end of the episode. Here are the sources that I used. That's all. Or all that beautiful meme footage